Hello and welcome to Bitsbox World, Builds Made Easy. Hi, I'm Tom, and I've got a bit of a treat for you today, because I've got this dragon that I've had for about 22 years. It's for the High Elf army, and it originally came with the Dragonlord Imrik on the top. That's something that I'm really missing in the old world, is the named characters. And for High Elves, they had Lord Imrik, and he would sit on the top of this dragon. But over the years, I have moved it around. It's moved to different locations, and I've lost some pieces for it. So I've had to fix the dragon up with some spare horns that I had lying around, and some frilly bits as well. And as you can see, I've lost Lord Imrik as well. So really sad. But this guy would do. I've built him up and he's ready to ride my dragon. This is what Lord Imrik looked like originally back in the day. And I'm going to go with my own colour scheme. But if I had the complete Lord Imrik on dragon now, it sells for about £200 on eBay. So people are really loving the classic models. But mine isn't classic anymore, unfortunately. Lost some bits, and that's the nature of having a big pile of grey shame that hasn't been painted. But let's get this guy done. I'm going to be painting with a slap chop effect, so starting off with a grey dry brush over the whole model, and then moving up to a white dry brush as well. But it's got some really decent, really nice detail, and for something that's 22 years old, this one is a part plastic, part metal model. So all of Warhammer used to be in metal, and this was at the hybrid time where they were making some of it metal and some of it plastic. And this guy had a metal head and a metal tail, and then plastic everything else. That always made it a bit rubbish to keep them together, because super glue only lasts so long on plastic, and I much prefer plastic nowadays because it almost melts the model together and it stays together a bit better. But let's have a go at painting this guy up then. So using my inks, I'm going to go with a red dragon, sort of a blood dragon. And I always liked dragon princes, and thought that if they were riding dragons, they would be nice and red. Don't know why, but really like a red dragon. So I'm going to cover the whole model. And I did do a few coats to kind of give that depth of red as well, because I didn't want a pink red highlighting that you sometimes get with the inks. I wanted it to be a bit deeper, and really liking the look of how that's coming out, using obviously the dark recesses that were left with the slap chop dry brush effect. Now, for those of you that have been around the hobby for a little while, you might remember that by the time we got to 8th edition of Warhammer, we had lost Imrik to the how would you say it, the annals of time, I guess. So Lord Imrik had disappeared on his dragon, but you could get a variety of different dragons within 8th edition. So they introduced a sun, moon and star dragon, and each of those had different abilities. Each of those had different statistics in terms of attacks and strength. And yeah, with the star dragon being the best and the sun dragon being the worst, which I thought was interesting, because obviously the sun, well, if I think about it now, actually, I was going to say the sun is obviously the brightest to us, but it's probably not the biggest star in the galaxy, is it? So that kind of makes sense. But there we go. So Lord Imrik was gone, but they introduced 3 different types of dragon. So they've kept this up in the old world rules then. So we've still got star, moon and sun dragons, with a prince being able to ride a moon or a star dragon, and then an archmage also a moon or a star dragon. But then the sun dragon has been relegated for a noble or a mage. But the prince and archmage can still ride one of those as well. The question is though, are they any good? So we start with the Sun Dragon. So this is arguably the worst dragon, if a dragon can be bad. Well, it comes with a toughness of +2 to your character and +4 wounds, because what they've done in the old world is the mounts just add to the attributes of the rider. You also get 4 attacks with that guy, and they're at strength 5 with a weapon skill of 5, so pretty beastly, which is quite good. The Moon Dragon then gets a strength 6 with 5 attacks, so 1 more attack than the Sun Dragon at a greater strength. You've still got the toughness of +2, but it gives a 5+ on the wounds, +5 wounds. And then the Star Dragon, which is ultimately the greatest dragon, has a weapon skill of 7, strength 7, toughness 3, wounds +6 to your character, and 6 attacks. So really good. If you've got a prince riding that, then you get your +3 toughness on top of the prince, which makes an elf like toughness 6, which is pretty good, pretty awesome. Certainly needs it for an elf. There we go. And then with the extra attacks as well, you're looking at 10 attacks in total from that, 4 from the prince and 6 from the dragon. Pretty awesome. Now back to the painting then. So I went for this really red effect on my dragon, really quite like it, but then any of the bone areas I painted over with a darker brown type, almost black ink, so then I could highlight up with Screaming Skull. And then nice for the eyes, went for a yellow colour on the eyes, just to give that reflection of heat with inside the creature I felt. And then doing the eyes. I really hate doing eyes. Oh, they are the bane of my life. But there we go, they turned out alright. Back to some of the rules then for the dragons in the old world. They all have fly 10, which makes them really decent for being an impact kind of character, charging in from a distance, and really quite awesome. They have stomp attacks as well, which is D6. They also have some further attacks, wicked claws, which is the strength of the dragon, -2 armor piercing, which really is awesome for killing stuff. And then they have dragon fire as well, which is strength 4, -1 for armor piercing, and it's a breath weapon, also a flaming attack. So you'll be using the fire template, which has always been the case with dragons, and it's cast as flaming attacks. So really quite awesome, quite beastly when using these dragons with a prince on top, or giving an archmage just a platform to send magic flying around. But this one here that I'm making is it's going to be my lord, it's going to be my prince for my army, and I really quite like it. Even though I'm sad that it doesn't have Imrik, I'm really quite liking it, and it's so nice to be in a position where I've painted this up, had it for 20 years and hadn't painted it to this point. Really like it though, and I think it does look quite decent. Let me know in the comments though your thoughts on this, and would you have done it any other colour? I also had a smart idea. I'll pin this guy on top, so then I can take him off. If I find Imrik, I can give Imrik a bit of a paint and then put him back on top of his dragon. But at the moment, this guy is good enough to lead my army, and he can sit on top and I can make it interchangeable. I've also got another dragon that I'll be painting up. That came third in the voting. You all voted, which is why I'm painting this guy up. And the guy that came second was this Flame Spire Phoenix. So that'll be the next one that I'm going to paint up, with a sort of big tough guy on top with a big hellbird. Really quite like this model, and I've had this one for ages and ages as well. So I hope you like this video. Please give it a like, share this around and comment below. Thanks for watching Bitsbox World, builds made easy.